I did not expect Skywalker to be so wise.
Yo, what's going on, YouTube? Mate, when are you going to get better at doing this shit? Yo, what's going on, YouTube? Stack Skywalker back with another video. How are you all doing today? Today we've got, as you can see in the title of the video, Episode 9 Rumours, Episode 9 Theories, but most of all, the theory that I have some insider information on. Now wait, I know what you're thinking.
Why are you bullshitting us? Stop bringing our hopes up. It's not gonna happen.
Now all I say to that is, hear me out. So as some of you may know, I'm a tattoo artist and I locate in Devon, England. Wait, locate? No, hang on. So as some of you may or may not know, I'm a tattoo artist and I'm located in Devon, England. Now you might be thinking, what the hell has this got to do with a Star Wars Episode 9 video? Right, well I'm glad you asked. What it was, I had a client a couple of weeks ago who will remain nameless just in case this happens to get anybody in trouble. Again, take this with a big grain of salt, because nobody knows whether this is true or not. I'm just telling you what he told me. So I know what you're thinking. How is your client going to have any relative Star Wars Episode 9 news? I'm going to explain what he said and why he might have this information. This client who's going to This client is going to remain nameless. He works as a groundskeeper for very rich and wealthy people. So he looks after all the grounds, all the acres that all these people own, hundreds and hundreds of acres that he looks after, and that's his job title. What he said to me is that there was a Star Wars movie being located on one of the sites that him and his colleagues were looking after. So let's get into the crux of this story. Previously, we've known that the location of Forest Dean, I'm going to pull up an image now, has been used in Star Wars, namely in Episode 7, Force Awakens. Now, a friend of mine as well also said his dad worked in the local area of the Forest of Dean at the time they were filming Episode 7, so he can confirm that they did film Episode 7 there. I'm guessing this was probably Maz Kanata's castle and that forestry scene where Kylo's chasing Rey. That's probably what it was. Now, fast forward to the current day, and we currently know that Episode 9 is being filmed. So what does that mean? This guy told me that he heard that Episode 9 was being filmed at the Forest of Dean, which would make perfect sense because they've been there before. I may or may not be correct, but I think some of Return of the Jedi's Forest of Endor scenes were filmed there, but I know they also used a filming location in California in the forest, so take that with a grain of salt, but I know that they have previously used the Episode 7 set on location at Forest of Dean. So instead of rambling on, I'm going to get into what my client said, again, who will remain nameless. He said to me that there was a Star Wars film being filmed on location at Forest of Dean. Now when he said this to me, he said it was only a matter of months ago. And what's filming right now? Episode 9. So, it all links together. It all links together. And here is where it gets really, really, really juicy. Again, take it with a pinch of salt, because I don't know whether it's true. I don't know whether he was bullshitting me. I don't know whether it was 100% true information. Nobody's going to know except for the people that were on that site and on that set. One of his colleagues went back to him and said that they saw Ewan McGregor walking around on the Forest of Dean location. Now I know what you're thinking.
Oh my god, have you really brought us this far to tell us this bullshit?
And yes, I can understand why you would think that this is bullshit. Coming from a guy with next to no subscribers on YouTube, I'm only saying what I was told at work when I was tattooing this client. So then I asked him and I said, how can you be sure that this is 100% concrete fact? He then said, well, my colleague wouldn't be in the position to lie to me because he was looking after the Forest of Dean location at the time when this was all supposedly going on. So I said, right, okay, well, they don't have a reason to be bullshitting you. I can completely kind of see where you're coming from with that train of thought to believe the people you're hiring and the information they're giving you. And this is at the point, right, where this gets really, really, really interesting. And this is only why I'm making a video on it from my personal experience. He turned to me and he said, I'm not even a Star Wars fan. Now, obviously, me being me, I was like, oh, get out my shop, you're banned for life, sort of thing, you know, having a bit of banter. But no, seriously, this guy isn't a Star Wars fan. He's not really a fan of the films, doesn't read the books or the comics, doesn't play the games or anything. He's not interested in anything. He's not a fan of anything Star Wars. Right, so now that's out of the way, this is where it gets really, really interesting, okay? This guy looked me dead in my eye and he said, I didn't even know Ewan McGregor was part of the Star Wars franchise. I know, right? So this is what leads me to believe the fact that this might be true. Just because this guy who isn't a Star Wars fan, he knows nothing about the saga, didn't even know Ewan McGregor was in the franchise at all, He's told me this just on a whim. I mean, the reason he told me is because, see, in my shop I've got loads of Star Wars Funko Pops and Elite Series figures all up on a shelf, and he could clearly see that I was a fan of Star Wars. So he engaged in conversation with me, thinking, oh, this guy might like this bit of information. So that's the information I've got, guys. Take it with a grain of salt, obviously. Take it how you will. Let me know your opinion in the comments. If this video gets any traction, great. If it doesn't, hey, I'm just expressing my personal experience, what I had talking to this guy, this client of mine. This was just an experience I had talking to this guy while I was tattooing him. He will remain nameless just because if any of this gets out, I don't want people to be getting into trouble. And if any of it is true, again, I don't want people to be getting into trouble. Because this guy, his colleagues, saw Ewan McGregor walking around on the lot. You know, they were looking after the grounds. They were helping maintain the grounds. They were making sure that the forest wasn't getting damaged too much in any of these scenes. They were there overseeing. You know, they had to look after the land for their client, you know, the person that hires them to then look after their land. So I can completely understand why these people would have been walking around. Obviously, they probably would have had to have signed an NDA agreement. I think that's what it's called. Is it an NDA? They would have had to have signed something to not let any information out. So I'm pretty shocked that I've even been told this myself. Again, take it with a grain of salt, guys. Do you think this is true? I'm in two minds. Episode 9, for Ewan McGregor to be there, it makes sense. Like, it makes sense to explain the whole kind of Force Ghost mentality, the whole sort of, you know, Rey being connected with the Force so strongly, Obi-Wan's voice being in Rey's vision in The Force Awakens. It's like, well, why would that be in there otherwise? It doesn't really kind of, like, need to be there. It doesn't really make sense to me as to why it would be there. Now, I know we have heard a lot of this kind of, like, the Nether Realm, the beyond the existence of life, kind of Nether Realm, Nether World of the Force. Now, this has been hinted at in Star Wars Rebels. It's all kind of been referenced here and there, and there's been nods to it throughout the canon. My theory is that something's going to happen in Episode 9 where Rey is so connected with the Force and so connected with Luke, and Luke has found out from Obi-Wan, Yoda. I don't think Qui-Gon's going to be in there. I just can't help but think with the recent Liam Neeson controversy that I just don't think Disney are even going to jump that gun. I didn't even mean to put a pun in there, but obviously we know about the James Gunn situation and him being sacked. You know, if they could put Qui-Gon in there, it would be absolutely amazing. I would love it personally as a Star Wars fan, but I'm not going to sit back and say I can't understand why they wouldn't do it. Because of this controversy, they don't want any kind of like tarnishing of the name of Episode 9, and I completely get that. Although it might be a little bit unfair, I completely get that. But going back to my theory, I think obviously Rey is connected with the Force big time. Luke is telling her about this kind of Force Ghost Netherrealm place that she can travel to. Whether that's going to be explored in a movie, I don't know, but this is my theory for why we might see Obi-Wan. I'm thinking Obi-Wan is probably in this netherworld of the Force with Qui-Gon, Yoda, maybe even Hayden Christensen as Anakin. I think if they do put Obi-Wan in this film, though, they've got to kind of grizzle him up a bit, make him look a bit older, give him that big thick beard, give him some, maybe do some kind of facial prosthesis. Or is that what you say? Prosthesis? Prosthetics? Bit similar to how they did Winston Churchill with Gary Oldman. Something like that, you know. Age him up a bit so it looks believable, because I think too many people are going to be a little bit pissed off if he doesn't look quite like Alec Guinness. So at least if there's some resemblance, I think people, you know, Disney could probably get away with putting him in there later on in the saga. Ewan McGregor is just the perfect age to play Obi-Wan.
Why haven't they done it?
Hello, Angelink. I mean, yeah, if you pop in from tomorrow onwards, we'll have a chat about what you want done, and maybe I can give you a pricing and stuff like that. All right, mate, nice one. Take care, buddy. Cheers, bye. I tell you, even when you're off work ill, it never ends.
Hey, I'm not complaining. Keep getting tatted.
I think that Rey can somehow communicate with Obi-Wan. Now, I know what you're all going to start saying.
She's not his granddaughter, she's not his daughter, there's no lineage
there. I'm not saying there's lineage. I'm just saying that there might be some kind of like powerful force, sense, ability where she can channel into it so much, because they're saying that she's probably the most powerful force user, I mean Jedi as such anyway, to ever have lived. So, I mean, it's only going to... Every time something new comes out, they always say they're the next best thing. They're the chosen one. They're this new that, you know. Do you know what I mean? So, I think there's something to be said about the fact that she might be able to channel the Force so much that she ends up communicating with Obi-Wan. And I think that is a way to slip Ewan McGregor into Episode 9. The only other thing that contradicts this whole theory and what I've been told is, why would Ewan McGregor be in a forest on an Episode 9 set? Wouldn't they just put him in front of a blue screen or a green screen and then digitally impose him in, you know, with a blue hue to be a Force Ghost? And my answer to that is yes, I completely agree. That is probably what they would do. But what's to say that they didn't have a blue screen or a green screen on set in the Forest of Dean area when this was all going on? You know, what's to say that they didn't put him in front of a green screen, but they needed to do some kind of on-site photography to be able to create a backdrop for him, something nice on-set location, just so he could get the vibe of where he was and how he was acting, what he was walking around. Maybe he had to walk around in front of a few logs. And there's nothing to say that he wouldn't have wanted to be there on set of Episode 9, just to get that Star Wars feeling back inside of him, you know? He's been on record to say that he wants to do an Obi Wan movie. Hell, he said that he wants to do a trilogy. So there's nothing to say that he wouldn't be back on set just to get those feels again, you know? I mean, it's not like he can't afford to fly to wherever they're being located and wherever they're being filmed, you know what I mean? Or Disney fly him in, maybe. So I think the whole notion of, well, he would just be in a blue screen booth or a green screen booth area, and they would probably have filmed that at like Pinewood Studios or something like that. Yeah, I get that. I completely get that train of thought. But all I'm saying is, don't count out the possibility that they might have had him filming this digitally imposed effect on set, offshoot in a corner somewhere, you know, with a bit of backdrop and maybe a couple of logs from the actual forest to give it that more real feel. And if you are a film director or a visual effects specialist, I am sorry, I don't know the ins and outs of the industry. So if that is a way that things are never filmed, then I'm sorry, and just kind of like move on to the rest of the video, because I don't really know what I'm talking about when it comes to, I'm not no professional in the movie industry. Clearly I'm making a YouTube channel. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on what may happen. So take it with a grain of salt. So that's it for this video, guys. What do you guys think about the possibility of Ewan McGregor being in Episode 9? And do you believe what this guy said to me in confidence? Bear in mind he wasn't a Star Wars fan, which again, the fact that he wasn't a Star Wars fan gives me the train of thought to think, well, why would he have any reason to make that shit up? You know, like, why would he have any reason to lie about it? If he didn't even know that Ewan McGregor was in Star Wars films at all. Like, this guy doesn't even like Star Wars. He said to me it seems a bit campy, seems a bit silly and over the top, and I completely disagree with him. Obviously, I was like saying, you know, get out the shop, you're banned, you're barred for life, like, you know, but just as a joke, obviously. I didn't kick him out. Don't take it as news, okay? Take it as a theory/speculation part on my part. I'm not going to go putting this out as news and concrete, and hopefully nowhere else runs this as a headline somewhere, because I will feel awful if they do. I'm just trying to keep content for my YouTube channel and try and think of things to make videos of. And I was told this, so I thought, well, it's a perfect opportunity to make videos. I'm a massive Star Wars fan. You know, I should be talking about this stuff to you guys. Just to let you guys know, I will drop a link in the description to this video I found on YouTube that clearly states that there's been so much filming done in England, in Gloucester or Gloucestershire, up in Puzzlewood, the foresty areas, Forest of Dean, all these kind of locations that I've spoke about are in this video. So I will drop it in the description and you guys can check that one out for yourselves. So if you did like the video, guys, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell so you see these new videos coming out, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.
Fulfill